Hey guys, it's T-Pain here, coming at you with lesson 29, multiplying by multiples of 10 and 100. So I talked about this a little bit before. This is going to be a really fun and easy lesson for you guys, okay? So anyway, basically, 2 times 10 is 20, 3 times 10 is 30, 4 times 10 is 40, okay? All you're going to do anytime you're multiplying any number by 10 or 100 or 1,000 or 100,000 is you take that. So remember, if we take 6, right, and we times it by 1, okay, it's just one instance of 6, and so we end up with just 6, okay? So a number times 1 equals itself, okay? When we have a number like 10 times 6, we do 0 times 6 is 0, 1 times 6 is 6, and that's our answer. If we had 100, it'd be 0 times 6 is 0, 0 times 6 is 0, 1 times 6 is 6. Okay. If we had 1,000, it would be 0 times 6 is 0, 0 times 6 is 0, 0 times 6 is 0, 1 times 6 is 6. Okay. However many zeros I put on here, okay, they're just going to drop down, and that 6 times 1 is going to continue to be here. So if I had 358 times 100, okay, all I do is I do 3, 5, 8, and then I take those two zeros and drop them down. Now I have 35,800. Okay. If I were to have done 358 times 10,000, I just drop those two zeros as well. Now I have 3,580,000. Okay. It's going to be pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Okay. This does a reasonable job of talking about it. They are going to make things a little bit more complicated here, okay? And the way they do that is it's still pretty smart, okay? When I have 25 times 30, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to break this into two different multiplication problems, okay? We're actually going to take it from 30 to do 3 and 10, because the commutative property of multiplication says that as long as it's all multiplication, it doesn't really matter the order in which I do it in. And so I can break up a number like 30 into 3 and 10. I know 25 times 3 because I know that 3/4, 25 cents, equals 75 cents. And then I just put that extra 0 on, right, times 10. So this is a very easy way to do any multiples that are end in a 0. Okay, is you basically just add that 0 on in the end. Okay, so it talks about it basically the same way that I talked about it. Okay, I think you're gonna have a pretty easy time with some of these. Okay, some of these are gonna be just a little bit more complicated than others, but I want you to go ahead and give it a shot. For your written practice, I'm going to have you do 1 through 29 odd. Okay. And yeah, so go ahead and give it a shot. Come back here if you get stuck, and I'll do the lesson practice for you. Okay. All right. So assuming you gave it a shot, let's go ahead and do it. So let's do 34 times 2. That's 8. That's 6. And then don't forget our 0 pops on at the end. Okay, so I turned this into 2 times 10. I multiplied it by 2, and then I got my 68 times that by 10 to get 680. Okay, which is my real answer. Okay, if my answer here was 680, my answer here is going to be 6,800. Okay. 55 times 3, that's 15, that's 16, Okay, now I add a 0. So I get 1,650. 1,600, do another, 16,500. Over here, they changed it up a little bit on us, so we're going to do 45 times 6. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 4 is 24, 25, 26, 27. Okay. Don't forget my 0. 2,700. Over here, 37 times 4. 4 times 7 is 28. 4 times 3 is 12. 13, 14. So 148, and then I add those two zeros. Okay, and don't forget your comma. The comma is really important just because it helps you read it. Okay, so now it's very easy to know 14,800. Okay, 48 times 5. 5 times 8 is 40. 5 times 4 is 20. 24. Okay, add that 0. 2,400. 36 times 5. Okay. I like the bigger number on top. It makes the most sense for me. Okay, so that's 30. That's 15. 16, 17, 18. And then I add those two zeros this time. Okay. Here, 1.25 times 30. This one's going to be a little different, okay? We'll talk about that here in a second. Let's go ahead, let's do the math over here. So we'll do 1.25 times 3, okay? 3 times 5 is 15, 6, 7, 3, okay? So 375, but it's times 30, okay? So we have to have that 0, so now we times it by 10. When we times something by 10, we add a 0 at the end. But it's a decimal, so adding a 0 at the end actually doesn't do anything. That's the same number. This is the same number. This and this and this are the same number. You could add infinite zeros at the end of a decimal, and it doesn't change anything. Just like I could add infinite zeros ahead of a decimal, and it doesn't do anything. Okay? So what you do when you have an answer like this is you actually move that decimal over 1. So I'm going to end up with 37.5. Okay? So if I had $3.75 and I had that 10 times, I would end up with $37.50. This 0 isn't necessary, but because it's money, we usually put it in anyway. Just because we round up or put it there. So if that was 3.75 times 10, what if I times it by 100? Okay, instead of moving the decimal over once, I'm going to move it over twice. And my answer is going to be 375. I don't even need to put the decimal, but I could. Okay, so 375 versus 37.5. Okay, over here, 2.35 times 4. Okay, 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 7 is 28, 29, 30. 4 times 2 is 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so we got 11 bucks, but it's not times 4, it's times 40. So that decimal is going to move over by 1, and that's going to be, okay, 110. Over here, we're going to do my last problem. 1.43 times 2, 6, 8, 2. And I have to do 2 decimals, so that's 1, 2. So I get 286.00 if you want. Okay? That's my math. Have a good day, my dudes.